Hi guys. This lesson is really not so much of a lesson as it is me working out the work that I gave you today in case you got stuck. So it's literally the same exact problems as yesterday but with new numbers. So if you have yesterday's worksheet finished, look at that, and if you think you understood each problem, then these are just new problems that are just the same. Okay? So I would not watch this whole video unless you get a problem wrong and you need to go and watch the video for some help. But I'm going to work out each problem from worksheet 3 in case you had any trouble with any of them. Remember, this is the reference sheet you should use. And for each problem, just figure out which formula you need to use. Make sure you write the formula down. And a lot of them are kind of easy. Let's see how it goes. So, the first one. They mention volume of a cylinder, and they want me to find height. So I need to find the volume formula for a cylinder. Write that down. Volume equals pi r squared h. Always write the whole formula including volume equals because it helps you when you're working backwards. Then when you read the problem further, the only number given, that guy, is the volume. So underneath the V, I'm going to replace V with that number, 339.29. Bring down my equal sign. Replace pi with 3.14. The radius is 6. I'm going to go ahead and square that, which would be 36. Okay? And now I can solve for H. Multiply these two numbers together, 36 times 3.14. And I get a 113.04. Now just get H by itself, divide by the 113.04 on both sides. And you really don't have to show that step, it's totally up to you. Okay, so when I divide 339.29 divided by 113.04, I get 3.00. So I look at the directions, and it says to round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to just write 3.0. And this is height. It's one singular dimension, so it's just inches. Moving on to number 2. Okay, this problem mentions two different geometry formulas, and I'm just going to write them both down. I'm going to need surface area of a sphere and circumference of a circle. So write down both formulas, doesn't matter which order. Surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. Circumference of the circle in the middle is 2 pi r. Okay, now reread the question again, see what was given. The circumference is 41. So go to the C and replace the circumference with 41. Bring everything else down. Bring down the 2, replace the pi with 3.14, and bring down the r. Now I can solve for r. Multiply the 2 and the 3.14, and you get 6.28, and bring down the r. Divide by 6.28 on both sides to solve for r. So 41 divided by 6.28, I get that r is approximately 6.529. And remember, I rounded that number slightly, actually rounded it a good bit. So I want to keep that number in my calculator and use the number that's in my calculator. I'm just writing this number down rounded right now just so I can kind of keep track of my work better. All right, so now we're going to take that value of r that we just found, we're going to plug it in over here in order to find surface area. So the surface area is what they asked for. It's 4 times 3.14 times my value of r that we just found squared. And I'm going to write down 6.529, but again, I'm actually going to use that big number in my calculator. So when you put it in your calculator, take that big number you still have in your calculator and square it first, then multiply by 4 and multiply by 3.14. And I get that the surface area is 535.35, but it says round to the nearest tenth. So this 5 here tells me to change that 3 to a 4. So it's 535.4, and this is area, so square millimeters. Okay, moving on to number 3. Okay, this one is a balloon, so that's a sphere, and it mentions in this problem circumference and surface area again. So I'm going to write them both down, and I don't care which one I write first. Surface area is 4 pi r squared. Circumference is 2 pi r. Okay, reading the problem again, circumference is 20. So I'm going to replace this c right here with a 20 and bring everything else down. Bring down the 2, replace pi with 3.14, and bring down the r. Multiply the 2 and the 3.14, you get 6.28. Bring down the r. Divide by 6.28 on both sides. And r is approximately 20 divided by 6.28. Okay, so again I get 3.185, but I'm going to leave that number unrounded in my calculator. Now take what r equaled, what we found right here, plug it in for the r over here. So the surface area will be 4 times, replace the pi with 3.14, times the radius we just found squared. So inside there we're going to write the answer that we just found, 3.185, but again, use the bigger number that's written in your calculator. Okay, so take the number that's in my calculator, square it, times 4 times 3.14. I get 127.388, 127.39, but this says to round to the nearest square meter, which means round to the nearest whole number. So in that case, the 9 is useless. I should not even look at that. I only look at the 3, and the 3 is less than 5, so I round down and leave that a 7. So it's going to be 127 square centimeters. Okay, next one. Number 4. Remember, for a hemisphere, that a hemisphere is half of a sphere. So your formula for the volume of a hemisphere is half of this. Well, if this volume is 4/3, the volume of a hemisphere is 2/3 pi r cubed. And hopefully you wrote that down on your reference sheet yesterday. So the volume will be 2/3 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which is 5 cubed. Remember, when you put this all in your calculator, you're going to do the 5 cubed first, and then all the numbers that are on the top get multiplied together, and then you divide by the 3. Okay? So it's 5 cubed, which is 125, times 2 times 3.14, divide by 3. And it doesn't really matter if you did it in a different order. And I get that volume is 261.6 repeating. And since it told me to round to the nearest tenth, that would be this guy. The 7, since the 7 is greater than, actually it was a 6 honestly, but either way it was greater than 5. So that tells me to round this 6 up to a 7. So my final answer would be 261.7 cubic centimeters. Okay, last one. All right, this one, remember, it doesn't really say the word volume, but it does ask about how much water this pond will hold, and that implies volume. Okay, so to find the volume of this hemisphere again, the formula is half of this, so it's 2/3. Volume equals 2/3 pi r cubed. That's 2/3. Pi is 3.14. The radius is not 15. Is not 12. The diameter is 12, so the radius is 6. Now just put all that in your calculator. 6 cubed which is 216, times 2 times 3.14, and divide by 3. And I get my final answer to be that the volume is 452.16. So now make sure you answer the question. Will this pond, if it holds this much water, can it hold 450 cubic feet? And the answer would be yes. So there you go. Easy day today. I hope it went better than yesterday. It's hard to tell whether or not you're doing well because I can't see your faces. I can't read your eyes. But I hope you're doing okay. Good luck.